collectors in disguise. Children of Primus, collectors in disguise. Children of Primus, collectors in disguise. Children of Primus. Children of Primus.
That was the first time I got to hear it.
Really? Oh, it works. Oh, that's
So it was the sound from the laptop.
That was interesting. I like that intro. That was pretty cool. I can only
That was-
imagine the man hours it took to do all of that.
Less than you would expect from what we know of that guy.
$13? Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
Torwarp, can
impressive.
you hear me?
Yep. We got you.
No, Torwarp said he can't hear Spin, but I can hear Spin.
I can hear him.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Torwarp, can you hear anybody else?
Presumably he's doing okay.
Okay, so he can hear me. He hears everyone but Spin. He's got his Spin muffin on.
Yeah. I just flipped over to our YouTube channel and listened live, and I'm like, yeah, for some reason Spin's muted over there.
Oh yeah, that's makes simply go over to YouTube.
Strange. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Spin. Have you been able to hear me fine this week?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's so we get me straight. Now Spin's messed up. Me and Spin were talking about me 2 Sundays ago.
Oh, there's a huge delay.
Yeah. Between here and YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube and here. Yeah, that's everybody.
They put us on.
That's new. Never done it to us. I'm doing well. Business as usual with me and the Marauders, and going to cons and having a good time. How about yourself?
I post a
Yeah,
review.
at least
every
you
2
get
weeks,
to
pretty much
work.
rain
I
or shine.
was figuring it out. Like between the last 4 months, I probably only had a month of being in the green rather than breaking Eve or red because of health issues and the broken arm and everything. It's like, ugh.
Every 2 weeks, I post a review. You can't stop.
Are you
me.
guys hearing the feedback? I'm hearing repeated sound.
No.
Let me drop and come back in. Maybe it's me.
Okay.
All right, one sec. Sorry about that, gentlemen.
Swear,
It
usually we're
happens.
fine. Usually we're fine. You gotta believe me. then there were 3.
The Three Musketeers.
Mm-hmm. I've
I've
just
been
been
surprised
very
messing with
generously
these mix and match TMTs. Some of these ball socket joints are still a little bit hard for my broken arm to pull in and out.
ball socket. Uh, I can laugh at stupid things like that because it's Teletran too. I've just been trying to figure out Buscemi Scream over here. I think I got his alternate mode finally put together. It's
Just
very
kind of getting
fiddly.
it internalized so you can do it without directions every time.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I just posted my review of Alita. This will be the next guy, so I got to make sure I got all his bells and whistles figured out before I write about him. Yeah. It took me a long time to figure this out, and Discord server helped me. I was like, "What does this guy's jet mode look like?" He looks like Energon Megatron in jet mode. He has the same shaped wings. Um, it's a very strange thing for him to look like, but that's what he resembles. Yeah, it's. I'll observe. I'll talk about it during my actual review later.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yep.
I can hear you.
Excuse me.
Toy
I'll,
Warp, can you hear Spin now?
did you hear my cat? Hello.
Aw.
Impactor says he
Okay,
still
he's
can't hear
using
Spin.
fear and curse his head as toilet paper.
She's just surveying her kingdom.
Soundwave mucking up the thing, and here I was giving him props for getting his own.
Roboson.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you let the villains win.
All right, no more feedback. Sorry about that.
All right, so at least we got that going.
No, that was me. I didn't realize I opened the duplicate link, so I had the actual YouTube show going while this was on. That's why I was hearing the feedback. I didn't realize it was open.
That would do it.
Yep.
Always something. Mm-hmm. However, one way or another, we will go on with the show.
Boy, you can go down a rabbit hole whenever you type racism into Transformers. Let me tell you what.
A horrible rabbit hole.
So you little no here.
Now,
Yep.
that's
Yeah, most of the people who bully online can't throw a punch. Yeah, we're on Teletron too, so they're better at sucking D than throwing a punch. And what was the other
it's
thing? And
the
then
containment
the
zone.
people who go on and on about guns, most of them, and I grew up with guns and mixed political leanings in the family, Democrat and Republican, but most of them can't hit the broadside of a barn. And
Now,
I shot guns and archery since I was middle school, I think. Like
now,
sixth
at
or
some
seventh
point
grade.
in the next hour, I must tell you about Dreamwave's Micromasters comic. In fact, I was chomping at the bit to talk about it in relation to this topic. I took screenshots. I have a folder on my
Oh
desktop of
God.
screenshots just to show you, so I can tell you about this horrible thing that I only discovered while I was in my comic reading club, which would be a controversy on the level of Skids and Mudflap if people had actually read this comic, which they didn't. In fact, do you want me to just tell you about it right now because I already led up to it? Yeah, yeah, and that had real repercussions, right? Casey Kasem, who's Lebanese, because it was specifically a parody of Libya. So Casey Kasem quit the show over that, right?
Yep.
That's why Teletran 2 became a thing. That's why Cliff Jumper stopped appearing, because he said, "You guys are. This is. I'm offended by this. I'm out. Bye." Uh, I was reading the Transformers Wiki article on it earlier this week, and Flint and Dill was like, he tried to get me fired over that. So that's how serious of a thing it was.
Well, I think he's like the Martin Luther King of Transformers because he was the first one to stand up against racism, even though it probably
Yeah.
was happening behind the scenes. And a lot of people who were doing voice acting work, whether you were white or black, probably just were told to shut up and dribble.
Mm, yeah. I mean, he was already. I mean, he had that Scooby Doo money, and he was a popular like radio DJ, so he could afford to say goodbye over it. You know,
Right,
he had the
right. But you
leverage.
also took a lot of good characters with you. Like you said, Teletran Run, Cliff Jumper, Blue Street, and
Mhm.
probably who else he probably, did voice work for. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe they were a little bit insensitive, but then again, this was the 80s and it was pretty open with how they wanted to do things. You see how they killed our leader.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about Optimus, right? I said
Correct.
jokingly. Yeah.
Don't touch. Don't touch. Don't touch.
Who was a
There's
Malcolm
a
X
little
guy?
bit of that. Megatron is depicted in the IDW comics. That's a bit of a stretch, but I can see what he means by that. Not the old one, like the new one.
Mm. I would probably say Megatron's variation in Transformers 1 probably resembles, somewhat of what Malcolm X was trying to accomplish, where he was, trying to stand up for the rights of, Autobots and Decepticons before he got drunken with power.
And
Yeah,
to
he was
be
on
fair,
some Genosha stuff.
he was based. The Transformers One version was based pretty heavily on the IDW comics version, so there is
Oh,
like a
was it?
direct
Okay.
line there.
Okay. Sorry. Now I'm gonna. Hopefully, if everyone in the comments can hear me.
I
Okay.
guess we'll find out.
Well, guess we'll find out because yeah, I had to switch cameras. So fortunately, I have this second camera in in place. So hopefully, it runs out. It keeps going. But yeah, continue what you're saying, and then I will jump into the topic.
Talking to me, Prime, or both?
Everyone.
Oh, I was done with my point.
Okay.
Yeah, my point more was you heard my points spin about Dinobot from Beast Wars and Starscream from Armada. Similarities I kind of perceived with them, between them. I guess I can go if we're talking about if I mentioned it already. So I said, as someone who grew up like German American, then I grew up around a lot of Japanese Americans and then Muslim Americans. Like you have to deal with, even though you yourself are like an exception to the, what the majority of your social group, nationality, racial group. Like Donald Spot, especially from Rat Trap, would still have to be like, oh, the only good Predacon's a good, a dead Predacon and all that sort of. And like I remember, even in the early 2000s, me as like a German American, my grandpa's fought in the Allies. If you say you're German, and not even around like Jewish students, but just people in general, you'd be like, oh, like a Nazi. I'm like, no, both of my grandpas fought against the Nazis in World War II, and Dinobot and then Armada Starscream. I feel like they kind of got that sort of ragged on. You get because of what people in the past had done of their, the Predacons or Decepticons have done. And then with like the Predacons and Beast Wars, it kind of reminds me of like the South will rise again with Russian Ravage being like, "The Decepticons forever," and I grew up in the Bible Belt, so I had even though my parents were from up north, I grew up in the South, so I had to hear all those white cracker southern rubbish.
Cracker encrusted, saltine encrusted.
Wow.
Let me,
Crackerjack security systems.
let me tell you about MicroMasters. So this is 2004. This is a Dreamwave Comics miniseries about the MicroMasters, like G1 little guys. And it is decided that they're going to make this a racial allegory with the MicroMasters as the oppressed underclass, with some obvious parallels. However, let me share a screen here.
Oh God.
There we go. Okay, so first of all, let me show you a photo of the two authors that wrote it. Those are two guys that wrote a racial allegory.
They're
And
almost as wide as that table.
here's an example of the bad art that the series had, just on general principle. It's late era Dreamwave. That's supposed to be Fort Max there, with his tiny head and his giant shoulders. So they had this idea that there was going to be a reclaimed slur that the MicroMasters were going to use, and that slur was going to be micro. And we know exactly what that's meant to be a substitute for, because you'll notice in the quote there that he stole a line of Samuel L. Jackson's from Pulp Fiction. And I'm going to read it out as neutrally as possible. Well, micro, that's all you had to say.
Wow.
The whole comic is like this. I found so
Wow.
many examples. We are some dead slagging micros. Catch you micros later.
Wow.
See it micros. This is
What issue is this?
This is MicroMasters by Dreamwave Comics. It's a 4-issue miniseries.
And that explains why they're out of business. All right.
Yeah,
Continue. My
this
bad.
came out in 2004.
Yep.
That's the year the company went bankrupt. This is like something out of Rush Hour. What's up, Micro? You done spacing? It's the worst thing. I had a lot riding on this Micro.
Oh, okay. Now I know what part you're talking about. Shit, Negro, that's all you had to say.
Yeah. No, in this
Gotcha.
panel, this guy says, "Yo, Micro," and you can see all three of them fist bump each other. Remember, you saw exactly how pasty white those two guys were that were writing this, by the way, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of other stuff, too. Like, here this line is, "Yeah, cap 'em." I can't believe I just said that. Yeah, that was about obvious. What were you thinking? Not strapping. Specifically talking about how he didn't bring a gun.
Wow.
BIG, is you a fool? Again, let me go back to the beginning for a second.
What issue is
These
this?
two
Like,
guys.
what does the cover look like for this?
Oh, I didn't take pictures of the covers.
Oh, man.
But very bad art. And here's the worst example. Oh, yeah, well, here's another one. Say, Micro, say what? Breaking those Decepticons off something proper. Okay, this is the worst one. So this is their sign off at the end of the last issue. This is these two white people telling the audience, "Till then, don't be a drone, Micro." After having spent
As soon as I get the
establishing
sound back on, the damn Medicaid people call.
Yeah. So, yeah, this was a horrible comic. It was meant to be like an allegory for racial stuff, and it just wound up coming across as incredibly racist and thoughtless, as these two white guys decided to just write something like this. And this would be a big deal, but nobody read this. There were back issues in my comic shop as late as a couple of years ago. The company went bankrupt. And so, in my mind, this is the worst the Transformers ever got with this stuff.
And so there's nobody to proofread this or, submit this to somebody before you go ahead and print thousands of copies of this.
No, this this comic company that was on the verge of bankruptcy and people already weren't getting their paychecks. They were like, no, you know what? It's fine. Ship it. Put it out the door.
But see, Prime, it's funny you say that because in one of the high schools I was in, they had a media course, and it was basically the final exam is you had to do different positions of the course. So throughout the semester, you're either doing the writing, you're either doing the directing, managing the sound, managing the camera. But for your final exam, you're you're the director. So you are now in charge of telling, the sound person, the camera person, the person reading the news. You're the universe, and the teacher's watching if you can make all of that conduct. So learning that, and then years later, you see something on TV, you see something in the movies, and just like you say, in terms of that comic going to public, okay, someone did something really off in the writing. So the person printing the comics didn't question it. The person who pays for the whole production didn't question it.
That's
The
my point.
person distributing didn't question it. How did it get out to the public?
And when you say it like
That
that, that's
we
like
didn't care.
5 lines of just security that just totally blew it.
Exactly.
Wow.
My strong suspicion, given that the company was about to go under, was that nobody was reading this, like that was actually in charge of putting it out there.
Again, Pat Lee didn't care.
Yeah, remember this Pat Lee, the guy that ran Dreamwave, ran off with all the money. So,
Well,
like, it was
clearly, this was written with somebody eating edibles. There was no thought to this at all.
yeah. The only positive I can say about this is when I read this with my book club a couple of years ago, nobody knew what it was, and we would get in the chat and just read through it, and just the horror kept mounting as we were like, "Oh my god!"
Wow.
It's the
That's
only positive thing I
insane.
can say. Yeah. So,
Wow. I'm really surprised Jazz and Blaster didn't make an appearance in this episode.
yeah. Oh, thank God. Well, no, they weren't there because Micromasters is set on Cybertron after the Ark left, but before the present day. So they were on the Ark. That's why they're not there. Otherwise,
Oh, yeah.
fortunately,
okay.
they were like, we want no part of this. We're out of here. You know.
Yeah. That's wow.
Well,
Well, kudos to you for finding that because I would have never thought about that.
Yeah,
Even to look. So,
I was. I've been sitting on it for a couple of years. I'm like, nobody knows about this. It's this shadowy thing in the forgotten chunk of Transformers comics history.
yeah.
well, I threw the question online in terms of seeing what people's responses would be, and there's a couple that came up that we may have overlooked. But before I go into that, I guess I would throw this to everyone, but I guess kind of specifically to you, Prime, because I know within the collective, and Calvin mentioned this at one time before, that there's racism within toy collecting. And the thing is, only because a lot of my stuff I collected, like when I was younger, that didn't exist then. Have you experienced any of that now, in the sense of like, we shouldn't be allowed to collect? And I'm like, why not?
Personally, no, because I put it into it even before it even got there.
Okay.
And like somebody had mentioned something about keyboard warriors and stuff like that. A lot of people feel a pretty gangster when they own them keyboards, but yeah, if you addressed it at the source, usually it just goes away.
Okay.
Or to me, most of our squad, the Marauders, our average height is damn near 6'4", the average dude in our thing. So we look at you and we say, hey, don't let us catch you at one of these cons because we will address you. Now, we're here to buy toys, have fun, meet new people, and not think about violence. But we're whoop your ass first, crew over here. So we really don't deal with racism, or at least part for me. But I do see people, especially in the younger generation, who feel an entitlement to Transformers, even though, being my age, I'm 46, I was there day one, September 17th, Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. I was in kindergarten.
Okay.
And I watched it the first day it came on. Had no idea it was even coming on. And so when you do see people who get out of bounds on comments, you got to address it at the source. And to me, I never got it that far, but there are some people out there who are a little bit insensitive. this is for everybody. Transformers is for everybody. It's not divided by race. And some people do feel that entitlement, especially if you have a collection that they dream that they want that they can't have or can't afford. Then they look at you kind of, crazy, like, how are you getting all of this stuff?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. And then RJ Eagle, one of our followers, also went to school with me. He says, "What's up, gang? I just got on, but racism in toy collecting is such a broad topic. Are we talking about racism in collecting or racism in Transformers media?" So it is a bit of both, because I know Prime just
Yes.
mentioned what he was saying. And I saw Magnus smiling, because Prime, just as you're one of the tall big guys, so is myself, and so is Magnus. So
Right.
we walk into a room, no one's really going to try to mess with us, but there's always that one small dog, that small loud dog that just wants to make all sorts of noise. There's always that one person that will cause trouble, and I mean, it's unfortunate.
All you got to do is shut off the O2.
Right.
That's it. That's
Yep.
it.
But I also want to say this, though.
I got big hands.
Man, you can slap 5 people at one time. So let me say this
You
as
just
well.
grab the face like that, and it shuts off the O2. The nose is sitting right here, and you just close over the mouth.
The Children of Primus does not endorse.
Let me say this
This is
before
Skeleton too.
Bill kills somebody. You also got to look at it
It's
this
not
way
murder
too,
if you don't get caught.
right? You got Children of Primus, you got TF-MARAUDERS, you got the Realm of Collectors, you got all these cool groups who have this partnership. Although we may not talk every day, there's a sense of just a relationship there. Like, y'all got into some stuff, Marauders got your back, and I'm sure Realm of Collectors is the same way. We are very community, like together. And when you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Although we have different crews, but it's a level of respect there, and they need to respect that. And that's probably why they also mad, because they don't have a crew to be with. And a lot of us have dual citizenship, so you got to take that into fact too.
Nice.
All 5 of us or 6 of us, we can go out and have dinner and go do something outside of Transformers. And sometimes people, that's all they have is Transformers or whatever they're collecting. There's nothing else when they go home but cold SpaghettiOs and mom yelling at you, move out of her basement.
Impactor, do you feel attacked?
Oh, and pee-pee jars in the corner. So a lot of people are mad. So sometimes it may not be racist. It's probably more just hate.
It is true. That is true.
Sorry.
No, let me see if I
I'm
can.
just imagining the pee-pee jars. Cool.
One of the things that got brought up whenever I did this, where was it? It was the IDW continuity. Introduced a form of discrimination based on how the Transformers were created. Forged versus constructed cold. Anthony, you know anything about that?
Yeah, that was a big foundational thing in IDW. Because
And also, what your alternative form would dictate a lot, put you in a caste system type category.
yeah, there was
as well.
2 entire things of discrimination. Because one of them was like forged versus constructed cold. Forged being if you were born from Cybertron's core, as usually most Transformers are, versus constructed cold, which was Transformers created by other Transformers instead of coming out of Cybertron, with that particular latter group being discriminated against as inferior. And the other thing was functionism, which was a social thing where what you changed into determined your place in society. And Megatron in IDW was specifically against functionism, because they were like, well, if you're a drill tank, you were obviously meant to be a miner, because who heard of a scientist that's a drill tank? Forgetting about nose cone. If you're a jet, you're obviously meant to be in the aerial corps. If you're a tank, you can't be a medic. Megatron said at one point, back in the day, I kind of wanted to be a medic, but they're like, no, you're a tank, you can't be a medic. Tanks aren't made to be medics. So they did play with that very much in IDW. In that case, functionism was like a government-enforced policy, and Megatron was helping to overthrow that government before he kind of, went nuts with it a bit.
And it's funny you
Then
bring
there
that
was
up.
stuff like
I've always felt
Empanada,
that.
where you,
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
and then there was the whole thing that Shockwave went through and Whirl, where you strip away, for the lack of a better term, their humanity and leave them with only drone hands, like pinchers or
Yeah.
mono eyes, and you intentionally disfigure people as
Yeah.
a form of punishment or discrimination because they don't align with the political, majority or whatnot.
I also bet what you just said, Anthony, is why the original Combaticons got removed from their structures.
Functionism.
Oh yeah,
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've said before about the my TED talk about the Transformers world is that the different forms of them are the races of Cybertron.
Hmm.
The,
Yeah.
the jets are a race, the trucks are a race, the Datsun cars are a race,
Mhm.
and now with what you just showed us, evidently the micros and the minis were a race, and they were looked down upon.
You can't say that word.
And
The
I say that
comics
because
need it.
I've always said this about the mini bots.
Yeah.
Back in the G1 stuff, there were no Decepticon mini bots other than Soundwave's cassettes.
Hmm.
So if you were born small like that, you had to be an Autobot. Period.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So functionism was IDW basically playing around with this concept, right? Of like social mobility being prevented. And like I said, Transformers One was heavily based on the IDW comics. So them doing the cogged versus cogless Transformers, the miners versus the upper crust, that was them taking the concept and like simplifying it for a 90-minute movie, basically. But same basic idea, like a group of Transformers who could transform and couldn't, and they were considered the underclass.
Now, with the one image that I have on the screen, which I know, we
Oh
spoke
God.
on, initially, Carbamia City, population 4,000 people, but then 10,000 camels.
Hmm.
Mm.
And I went into my notes. Let me see if I can pull my notes up on the screen. So it's interesting how, you know, back in the 80s, putting that out, it becomes, it's offensive enough for someone who's well known across the nation to quit the franchise.
Yeah.
Then you look at 2006, Borat Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kavistan. And you look at his movie in terms of how he just, it's a whole mockery, just a comedy movie, but how he makes fun of, Middle Eastern society, where it's like, at a certain point, someone will be like, well, then if he's able to do that, then why isn't Carbamia allowed to be within a franchise? Because in a sense, his is 1,000 times more insulting than Carbamia.
I think there's a bit of nuance to it. Like, again, I was reading about why Casey Kasem quit, and he said it wasn't. He objected not necessarily just to the fact that Arabs were being as villains, but that there were no heroic counterbalances to that. Whereas something like Borat is more so making fun of the entire concept instead of playing it straight. So I don't know. I think there's some nuance to that.
Now, another character that I know may be overlooked, and I think at one point I kind of wondered about
Or how
this.
do you say his name?
Raoul.
Raul. So this is
I never
Raul,
remember it.
kind of the Latin descent. And in both times in the G1 series, basically he's stealing cars, or he's always up to some sort of mischief. Then you fast forward to Rise of the Beast, and you've got Noah, who's also of Latin descent, but within the movie, then he's trying to steal Mirage. So I'm like, how is this written that every time a Latin person shows up in Transformers, they're always stealing automobiles?
Yeah, never thought of that. Though I will say, Rise
They're
of the
always
Beast.
street kids.
Yeah, I would say Rise of the Beasts definitely a better example of handling racial politics than the G1 cartoon, I think, because it also tackled like a bit of systemic racism with like how he keeps getting turned down for jobs by these security people, and
Mhm.
this
Hmm.
racial angle to it the whole movie. And the movie was done by Stephen Cable Jr., who did Creed 2, so I think he was very aware of this while he was writing and directing it. Yeah. And I think there's interesting tension there because, like, Noah's whole thing is he doesn't want to steal cars or be a hoodlum or whatever. He's trying to be respectful, and he keeps getting shot down for respectful job opportunities. So finally, he says, I got to do this just because I gotta make ends meet for the sake of my brother. So they go out of their way to really show that he's driven into this.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Raoul doesn't really have any explanation; he just kind of exists. This is also making me go, why didn't they name him Raoul? Because it's sort of the same character in Rise of the Beasts. I mean,
It's kind of sort of the same character.
Mm-hmm.
Now, RJ Eagle says, for the panel, do you think Transformers should or shouldn't be more ethnically represented? Pros and cons. For example, Masters of the Universe has Jitsu, which is an Asian character specifically.
That's tricky, in my opinion, because something like Transformers, where they're not they're not humans, so it's tough to specifically say this character is meant to represent this race without falling onto stereotypes, right? Like, I think about how Drift in the Bay movies was voiced by Ken Watanabe, and they wanted to make it clear this guy's Asian, but they did it by making him like a samurai with a literal yellow face, and I was like, oh, you shouldn't have done that.
Mm.
So it's kind of a tightrope there because it's really hard to say this character is meant to be a stand-in for this race when it comes to Transformers.
But then you also got to look at it from the ignorance of a robot. Even though they're writing the characters, this is what they see when they land on the planet. So Drift could have landed somewhere in 1500, the year 1500, somewhere around there in ancient Japan, and kind of adopted their ways, not realizing that it was insulting. Kind of how certain countries like Denmark and shit, they be doing blackface, even though they don't see it as racist. They're trying to honor us or whatever. So it could have been in that type of context.
Funny, that was sort of implied in the next one, because in The Last Night, when they show all those photos of Transformers throughout history, they showed a picture of Drift in ancient Japan, so that might have been textually what happened.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything, but they just let the photos speak,
Was he a horse and cart?
No, they didn't show what changed it.
Right. Now,
Those were...
obviously, it was for.
We don't have alt modes here because we're not beast formers.
Yeah.
Now we can't explain Jazz because 4 million years ago, he was very soulful for his time, and there's no Waffle House at this point in time in our life. But then we don't know what area he comes from. Maybe they had a soul place in Cybertron.
There was a really good issue of the IDW comics where Jazz sat down for an interview with a human reporter and talked about his history on Cybertron. And he talked about how he was a musician, and there was this particular form of music that he was really, really into. And he's like, when I came to Earth and I had to translate everything into English, I called myself Jazz because that's the closest human equivalent to this form of music that I liked back home. So this is me trying to find a cultural equivalent.
On
I respect
Cybertron,
that.
it was a combination
Interesting.
of jazz and funk. They called it junk.
Right.
Shoes.
Okay.
Hey, talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna go on a search and find those pages. There's too much for me to read out, but I can at least find that passage.
Sure.
But
Well,
when you talk about jazz, I mean, Scatman Carruthers, there's no way to get the soul out of that voice. That was that.
That's
man.
true.
Everything that he did, he was guest appearance in Globetrotter, Scooby Doo, and everything, and it was that same soulful tone every time.
Right. No, I totally get it. We just always wondered how he was so soulful 4 million years before even soul was even invented. So he's like the creator of soul almost.
Well, let's say,
Little Richard probably have a problem with that.
Waffle houses on Cybertron that we were not aware of.
That's right. That's right.
Outside icon, baby.
Right outside
Grandma's
Icon.
favorite place to go to pick a fight.
Wait a minute. You saying Icon was in a ghetto?
I'm sure. No.
If there's a Waffle House outside of it, I don't know where Waffle Houses are. Where
I
y'all
know
live,
Willie
but
was born in
Waffle
the
Houses
ghetto
are-
because he lived
You don't want to go there at 3 a.m. unless you're packing.
been throwing furniture and shit. Yeah.
Found it. I'm just gonna share the thing.
Well, Wheelie may have been from the ghetto. Season 3 Blaster. If you really listen to how he spoke in season 3 compared to the earlier seasons, they made him sound like Wheelie, and I'm like, no.
I think he got on the straight and narrow in season 3 because I think he blew a mission, something we didn't get to see during the between Bot and the Transformers, the movie, and I think he got replaced with Counterpunch because his espionage sucked. He was loud, you know, what I'm saying
Yeah.
he couldn't handle the mission,
Yep.
and he got demoted. And I think this is where you see the growth and maturity of him by the time we got to season 3.
Wow. No, just before let me show what Fear has on the screen. Let me bring up one more because I know there's which we kind of spoke of in there for a minute. But of course, these two characters,
Slapstick
Oh,
comedy.
God.
Yeah.
slapstick at
It's
its
where
best.
it's really funny. So the thing about Revenge of the Fallen, and I said this before, is they had a writer's strike, so the film went into pre-production without a script, and so the three writers that wrote Revenge of the Fallen were really quick to be like, we didn't come up with these guys. Michael Bay came up with them on his own, and then when they brought us in to finish the script, they were like, here's these characters you need to use. The toys are already being made. So they were quick to distance themselves from these guys.
This is all Hollywood Shuffle here. Have you ever seen that movie Hollywood
Yeah.
Shuffle? This is exactly what Robert Townsend was talking about.
I have not seen Hollywood Shuffle, and I would like to be enlightened about that.
It's a classic.
Well, and it's funny. Just before the stream today, then there was the one thought that came to my head where I mean, Michael Bay directed the Bad Boys movies, so then at some point was he then thinking, well, you know, Will and Martin kind of have this this banter back and forth, and it works for them. So let me just bring that into Transformers and create these two characters that are, you know, kind of like a Will and Martin kind of character, and see if it flies.
That's funny because I could totally see that thought process and it just not working at all.
Also, it's probably tone because you made them
Yeah.
goofballs. I mean, at least there was some seriousness to their character. One was more mature, the other one was, you know, a hoe. So, you know, when you look at Mike Lowry, you know, so that's what you get from Will Smith's character. But still, when it's time to, you know, play ball, they both showed up.
You know, unlike these two, like they
Yeah.
it just
Dumb
shouldn't have
dumb.
happened.
To me, it was like watching two Urkels.
Yeah, it's a part where God, there was a part where they're like, "Can you read these cyberglyphs?" And they're like, "Oh, we're not very good at reading." And everybody was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, it's just getting worse and worse. As RJ Eagle says, my heroes, skids and mud flap.
Ugh. You know that, like, you know, because the studio series, the Modern Toy Line, slowly making all the Bayformers, they've basically said we're not doing Skids and Mudflap. Everybody else's game, we're not doing new figures of those two.
Interesting.
And actually, just before I get over to Fears, there was that one other thought as well in terms of the entire franchise. And I guess this would kind of go more for Prime. There was never any, I guess, main black roles in Transformers. Not until you get to Transformers Prime with Agent Fowler. Because G1 never had that. Beast Wars didn't, although there were no humans in that I recall. Not in Armada or any of the other series or the Japanese series. Agent Fowler would have been the first one, who's also voiced I forget his name, but from Ghostbusters.
Hudson.
Ernie Hudson, yes.
Yeah.
Well, just speaking to a few Transformer, you know, voice actors, got to speak to Arthur Bernhardt a lot. I actually talked to him on the phone. Transformers was kind of treated like SNL when it came to story times. And this is what Buzz Dixon told me. And whoever had the best script for that week, that's what they would roll with. This is why you see so many animation errors, because they didn't know the direction of the show. So I don't think you can chalk that up to not having a top black performer or any other race to show lead. It was just kind of who had the best script. So it was kind of up for grabs. That's probably why it looks so incomplete now that we look at it today.
Okay.
But I think you're right. I think Agent Fowler is probably, our first. I would say,
I
looking from that context, yeah.
yeah, I believe
First, but not the
first.
last. Like
Yeah.
I've said, Earthspark was not a very good show, but they did. But the entire human cast was mostly people of color. You know, it was
Yeah.
half
Yeah.
people, half black family, and they were pretty well written. So
Yeah,
it's
black
very much
and
continuous.
Afro, Latino, whatever.
Where they landed? Detroit? Is that where they landed?
Oh,
That's where they
Earthspark.
landed in
Yeah.
animated, but that's its
Yeah.
old.
Oh
It's
yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yep.
Yeah,
You're right.
animated. They were what? The main doctor guy was Indian.
Yeah.
yeah.
Something.
Oh yeah. No, that's a whole other can of worms
Right.
because they were Indian. The Sumdaks.
Right.
Sorry, the daughter and Professor Sumdak. But here's the thing: they were Indian and they were both voiced by white people, so that
Yeah.
would probably not fly today.
Yeah. Well, Charles Adler is the voice actor for Raul, and I was like, "Oh shit, you talk for Raul?" He goes, "I sure did." And he did the voice in front of me. I was like, "Oh wow, that's crazy."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think Transformers got, even though I'm not a big fan or a Beast Wars, but I don't think the majority of Transformers didn't arrive at least until the writing aspect until we got to Beast Wars.
Mhm. No, I agree. That was they took a step up.
That's where you take it serious at this point in time. Now we would have had some type of a story like that in G1,
Right.
where it was a little bit more organized. I think it would have been a better show and probably lasted a little longer.
Yeah, foresee the amount of episodes G1 did get was always pretty exceptional because it was always the policy is always you end a cartoon after 65 episodes because that's the cutoff for syndication. So the
Yeah.
fact that G1 got way more episodes than 65 was a pretty exceptional benchmark. Honestly,
I think it's the toys. That
Yeah.
first 16 episodes, and then you see all these toys. Oh, we need more episodes, and then they became about the dollar at this point. So you see the big shift, and this is why when I talked to Bob at the last TFCon, he looked burnt out from even talking about Transformers anymore because all the shit he had to deal with, him and Mr. Furman.
oh, Bob Budiansky.
Yeah, yeah. He just looks like he lost all hope. I was just like, damn, you want a hug? You all right?
Wait, really? That's interesting. The two times I've seen him, the thing about Bob Budiansky is he after he finished Marvel G1, like he pretty much walked away and just kind of didn't do anything else for Transformers. He works in the public sector now. He's like peacefully checked out. That's been my experience.
Well, yeah. I don't blame him. I
Like
don't
he'll
blame
come
him
back
at
for a
all.
convention and be like, "Yeah, I did that," and then it was fun, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this is what I found. This is name of the comic is Optimus Prime, and this is issue number 8. And the title of the issue is What It's Like. And like most of it's like a normal comic, and then they intercut with them doing these interviews with Jazz, and they do it as like it's a magazine. So the interview says, "Tell us where you came from," and Jazz says, "Cybertron." I thought everybody knew that. And the interviewer says, "That's like saying Earth. I'm from a different place than somebody from Kentucky or Beijing." Jazz is like, "Right on. That's absolutely right. I'm from a town in the north. Stan is. It had a big spaceport. That was its deal." So he says, did you like it there?" Jazz says, "No, I mean, everything there was shipbuilding, which wasn't my scene, or service stuff, restaurants, bars. And that wasn't for you either, eh?" He says, "But those kind of places attract musicians, which was my way out." And so a little further down, I'm just skipping ahead, he says, "I heard a Magna March when I was young. It's a kind of, not a marching band, not like you have. It's this one harmonic form. It hit me like nothing else, and I started telling people I was named after it." And the interviewer says, "And if you translate that term to Spanish or English," and he says, "Jazz, yeah, that's how come folks call me Jazz." So it's named after a kind of Cybertronian music that he likes.
So he didn't have a name like B127. He's just an original person.
Well,
Was he built for
I read it as,
entertainment?
yeah, I read it as the opposite way. Like that's how, like he had a different name, and then he took the name of this form of music, and then it translates into jazz on Earth.
Gotcha.
I like this little art here because you can see he's throwing coins into this Buskers thing here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
Nice.
just zoom out a little bit so it's obvious. Yeah, just all the music and stuff behind him here and stuff. Yeah, and there's more throughout the issues mixed in between the other stuff. Like there's another bit of an interview, but that's the most interesting part of it. And it gets interrupted, which made me so mad because the plot interrupts the interview, and I'm like, no, go back. I'd read a whole issue of just this. It's really interesting, talking about his past and stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, I really like that. They explain that he named himself after this form of music that he liked. So you see, this sometimes we went from MicroMasters to this. Change is possible, and improvement is possible.
No,
All it took was for one company to go bankrupt and a much better company to pick up the license.
no, I'd say over to you guys. Were there other issue like racist issues or issues with in terms of race within Transformers that you've ever noticed within the franchise or personally?
I've thought of another comics related thing. The final few issues of the Marvel comic, under Furman's pen, there's a sort of a temporary Autobot and Decepticon piece. And Grimlock, of course, because he is the usual kind of curmudgeon that he is, stomping around about it, like, oh, it's never going to work. And he starts being like, the Autobots and Decepticons, we're just different races. You can't, it's not going to work. And everybody's like, whoa, you're being a weird reactionary. And the series ended shortly thereafter. And then Furman decided to run with this in Generation 2 by saying the Decepticons were all descended from Liege Maximo. And then he decided to run with it in Regeneration 1, where he was like, oh, there's a specific evil gene that the Decepticons have, and they're trying to put it in the Autobots so we can do the Attack of the Autobots things. And I was like, geez, man, you didn't think the implications of this out very much. And you had years to think this out, because the comic, when Grimlock said that right at the end of Marvel G1, everybody was like, it's just him being stupid, because he's a crank in this comic. No, that's supposed to be legit, so...
Wow.
Look, the thing about Simon Furman is he's written a lot of good stuff. He's missed as many times as he's hit. He just with all of his swings,
Was it him that made the IDW
probably.
RC
Yep.
the the turn
Yep.
into a female version of RC that was originally Galvatron's brother?
Yep. Nobody liked that. And John Barber, the author that wrote that jazz comic I just said, came in and was like, let me just rewrite this and retcon a bunch of stuff and make it not horribly offensive.
And the thing that makes that RC Galvatron relationship even weirder is that there's like a cover of
Oh yeah.
Transformers Heart of Darkness, whereas RC is like at Galvatron's feet, like holding on to him like as if he's like a macho man, and she's in a bikini.
We read through that
type
in the
pose, and
comic
it's
club,
like,
and
oh
everybody
god,
was
that
like,
cover,
it's
cover
okay,
was
it's
and
okay.
I didn't realize it when I read that comic at the time, but in
Yeah.
hindsight, it's like, oh, that cover was unfortunate.
Yeah, everybody was like, it's cool. They didn't know at this point, that hadn't been written yet. They hadn't added that idea.
Wow.
Oh god.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's another thing that we discovered in the same book club where I discovered MicroMasters.
And I remember that RC was very, very violent.
She started out as a terrible character, and they wrote her to be fun. John Barber, great author. He seems to have made a career out of taking all the bad decisions that earlier authors had made and figuring out how to massage them into good decisions.
And I was thinking a little while ago, going back to like Latin representation or culture. So I don't remember, the how you had the two tree member combiner teams in the Beast Wars toy line. You had Magnaboss and the Tripedicus. So in the Japanese Beast Wars series, Beast Wars Second, their Tripedicus are actually tree Maximals rather than Predacons, and they're basically like tree Marachi band bros. And
Yeah,
they always
Tree
just break
Tron.
out in like Marachi songs and stuff
Wow.
whenever they pop up in that Beast Wars Second cartoon.
Yeah, but it's funny because people that have actually watched it have been like, they're not actually terribly offensive. They're kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean,
They just
it's
like
kind
shaking
of
their
like,
maracas and doing salsa songs at weird inappropriate
it's kind of
times.
silly, but it's at least you can do so out of affection or be like,
Yeah.
it seems to come from a place like, they celebrate this type of music or culture. It's not like,
Yeah, it was less offensive and more just like, oh, look at those funny guys, but they're
endearing
wrong.
cringe.
Okay. Now, there's one comment from where we threw online, and I'm wondering if one of you guys would know of, unless you're speaking of the joint trans from Japanese Beast Wars 2.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
talking about.
That's
Okay.
what I'm talking about. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were referring to.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
doesn't
like the
help that, like,
fun-loving group of guys, and everybody else like, dude, we have duties, guys.
yeah, there's a weird sort of historical thing because you see, Beast Wars the Second, it's never been officially released in English, right? And for a very long time, there wasn't even like fan subs because it wasn't until I think like 2016, 2017 or so that fans finally got around to translating the whole series. And so before that, we were relying on the few people that like could speak Japanese that also wrote English language stuff, reporting on it, and they were like, "Oh, these guys were like horrible Latin American stereotypes. That stunk." And then when they actually translated the show in like 16, 17, everybody actually sat down and watched it and was like, "Not really." So it's been a sort of a game of like rewriting the wiki and stuff to make sure that it's like.
Well, I remember watching. I don't know if it was Headmasters or one of the Japanese series.
Mhm.
They tried to have Blaster talk like Richard Pryor.
Oh,
What show
It
was
one-
that?
I want to say it was Headmaster, but he was like, "What's going on, Jack? How you doing, Jack?" And all of this stuff, and I'm just like, "What the
Oh.
hell is this?"
Was
Wow.
that the terrible Omni Productions English dub?
I think so, but I think they went after Richard Pryor as the source of his English
Okay.
version of how he was going to speak.
So that dub was done by like the people who used to dub like the old Godzilla movies into English. That's what Omni Productions was. And when the Headmasters got released again, like by Shout Factory in like in the 2010s, they were like, we asked Hasbro if we could include that English dub. They said no. You gotta subtitles only for this release. So that might have had something to do with it.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just like, what the hell is going on? Because, some of my crew members, they are big fans of the Japanese series.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you got to watch it. Go ahead and watch it. I was like, I found a copy on YouTube. I wish I could find that. And I was just like listening to this shit. I was like, he sounds like Richard Pryor. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, you're better off watching the subtitled version. I'm not a weeb. I mean, this is somebody that's seen both of them. Like, that's the better one.
Yeah. I want to be in that meeting. How did that go? Did they just pick 5 black dudes from the 80s and say, well, this is what we're going to go with? And draw straws?
Omni Productions did this stuff on the cheap. It was probably all 5 people that were in the company, period. And they were just like, everybody get on the microphones.
Oh, boy.
RG Eagle says, Richard Pryor's Blaster, now I can't get that out of my head. I almost fell off my chair laughing.
It's the
Hey,
funniest shit ever.
there's a video edit for you. Find the most offensive Richard Pryor bit you can and find a G1 scene and have Blaster just break out into that routine.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's some shorts just waiting to happen.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I put that into the air.
Don't tip me.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah, try doing something from Autobot, because him and Trax had a lot of back and forths, and if you were going to insert some fake dialogue, that'd be a good one to start with.
Oh, gosh.
Well, you've seen my work.
Yep. Richard Pryor and some Gene Wilder or Cosby dialogue, and put that to Jazz and Blaster.
Oh, Lord.
So, speaking of Bill Cosby, I saw like someone had a display of Disney Sleeping Beauty with Bill Cosby, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
that's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Is there any good thing these days that begins with the phrase "speaking of Bill Cosby"?
Oh,
Not
dear.
right now.
Mm.
Well, let's say slowly before we round up for the evening. Prime, what any other thoughts that you have within the topic for race within Transformers?
I don't know if it's racism, but is it sexism? The fact that Jessica Morgan got new legs and Chip Chase didn't.
To be
And-
fair, the Chip Chase stuff was set in 1985. Jessica Morgan stuff was 2006. Maybe there'd been advancements.
They also had Wi-Fi in '84. You telling me they couldn't make some legs for him?
Hey, we
Or-
never saw Chip Chase in the future. Maybe adult Chip Chase has legs now. You don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
But you
Or
know what?
ran over a landmine. We don't know. Yeah, you're right.
I think Chip was faking being handicapped because that one scene where
I know
Ravage
exactly
breaks
what you're
in.
talking about.
Yep. And it's like
Never-
Ravage breaks him through the window and everything. I'm like, not a scratch on this man. Like,
He was secretly superhuman. He survived going
Yeah.
through that window. He tore a
And he-
floppy disk in
Yeah,
half.
he
with
tore a
his bare hand.
floppy disk in half.
Yeah,
Man
Yeah.
has some serious triceps. I'll tell you that.
it's like
Now,
an
I'm gonna want to
unbreakable
rewatch
scenario.
this ERB since we mentioned Richard Pryor.
oh, ERB.
And what's his
ERB
name?
is cool.
George Carlin.
I got a question for you, for the panel.
Mhm.
Now we've seen other voice actors try to play jazz. Obviously, we know Scatman Carruthers is passed on shortly after the movie or season 2. Do you get offended when you see other voice actors of other nationalities trying to play jazz?
To be fair, that doesn't happen too often. Usually they try to get an African American voice actor to play him. I think the only high profile example of that not happening was Fall of Cybertron.
Yeah. He did a fantastic job, if you ask me, because I thought he was black.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Arif S. Kinchin was the voice actor who did him in the 40th anniversary thing where they redubbed the first episode, and he did a good job of taking over Jazz's role.
Yeah.
But he had also already voiced him in the 2015 Robots in Disguise cartoon, so this was like an established actor that had already played Jazz taking the original role over for that little event.
Yeah, like for me, I'm not bothered by it as long as you do, the character justice. That's all I ask. Be true to the character.
Well, I guess, but with some characters in certain voices, it's almost like that person was born to play that role because it's almost like Peter Cullen to Optimus. But funny enough, Bryan Cranston, I believe his name, from Breaking Bad, if you really listen to his voice, he'd be an easy replacement for Optimus, and you almost would not tell the difference.
I got one better for Optimus, and this would get my vote. The guy who played Arthur Morgan in Red Dead would be my go-to to be the new Optimus Prime.
Funny thing about Bryan Cranston, before he was an actor in anything, he was doing voices for some of the monsters in Power Rangers, so he does have voice acting experience.
Even better.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was like one of his earlier things before he was established,
But I think we're going to start seeing that more in newer cartoons where, either the sex change or a different race plays the character. It's going to be common. Like, we see an instance of where Swoop is a female. Some people are bothered by it. Some people are not bothered by it. So it threw me for a loop because, you want to stay true to the cartoon, at least for me.
Skywarp as well via Earthspark.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Earthspark made
Yeah.
Skywarp a lady too, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. So, yeah.
Wow.
So it's possible
Also-
that things are going to happen.
Also Frenzy or Rumble, I forget which. The purple one, the blue one.
Well, I think they only had one of the humanoid bots in Earthspark.
Yeah. I just forget if
Purple
she was
one, though.
Frenzy or Rumble, but they also made her a lady in that show too.
Like for me, like when you look at Blaster and his tapes, is it interesting that his tapes are not black? So,
Interesting.
or a black portrayal of characters? Because if you look at that, I see the kid from the Boondocks playing Blaster's tapes.
Well, of course, Rewind's whole thing is he's supposed to be really smart, so obviously he'd be. I forget if Huey or Riley was the smart one. Which one of the two
Huey.
Yeah,
is.
the afro. Yeah, right.
So Huey's the one with the fro that's smarter, and Riley's
Riley is
There you go.
Riley's
Huey
the pretend thug.
Right.
Yeah.
And are Soundwave's tapes, at least for Rumble or Frenzy, are they mobsters from New Jersey or Brooklyn?
Well, they're supposed to be punks,
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, like old-fashioned goons. So they sort of are like New Jersey punks is probably correct.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, because to me, it seems like there's no relationship to the tapes to their holders. They're very different. It's night and day.
Yeah. The Earthspark version of Rumble / Frenzy that was a lady. Her portrayal was that of like a punk rocker, basically.
Mhm.
Which was
Yep.
not a bad take on it.
But I mean, sometimes you look at parents and children, and then sometimes it's night and day. Where it's just like you look at the parents and you look at the child, and I'm like, oh, like
Yeah, sound like Noah trying to keep his unruly kids in line.
or the parents are unruly and the kids like straight A. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
kid's going somewhere, but the parents are like, mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, it could be that way.
So RJ says a good point to spin. Mr. Cranston would be perfect primal placement. On a side topic, I like how Ratchet from TF Prime has a voice like Bones on Star Trek.
Well, it was Jeffrey Combs that voiced him, and infamously, Jeffrey Combs kept coming back and playing different roles on Star Trek because they put the alien makeup on him so he could be a bunch of different people.
Nice.
He played like 3 characters in Deep Space Nine and 1 character on Star Trek Enterprise. And he said at a convention that there was at least 1 Deep Space Nine episode where multiple characters he played appeared, just never at the same time. He played the Vorta. He played this Ferengi guy named Grunt. He played the main Andorian on Enterprise. I forget who the 4th guy was, but it was somebody. He's been in tons of Star Trek stuff.
Cool. Impactor Productions says I've posted 150 stop motions now in 1 year officially. That is a lot. So do check out his channel.
Oh, that was the
And,
kid who did the intro?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the kid who does the intro. You
Oh, man.
see
Kudos to
his
you.
stuff. Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
go see his stuff. Especially he does he does a scene from the Transformers the movie from the '86 movie. Very cool.
The thing about it is we've seen how he does his work. He is ludicrously fast at it too. He'll be like, "Yeah, I threw this together like on the car ride back home using just the camera on this iPad and like the back seat, and it'll be like this fluid transformation, and we'll be like, Jesus Christ."
Of course, sometimes even when we're on the air, he'll make
Yes.
something. Oh, this-
Yeah.
Shit. Well, if they ever bring back Celebrity Deathmatch, you may have a job.
Yeah.
So before we round out Prime Dynamics, tell us a bit about TF Marauders, what you got coming up, and I really like the name, like and the logo that you have, like the TF Marauders. It's like it almost reminds me of a DOJ kind of collective going on there.
Well, I mean, thank you, first of all. I made that with ChatGPT.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I used to work for them, so that's how I got pretty good with it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, a little bit about the Marauders. We are a group of people who like to maraud the truth. At first, it started off as doing numbers and data analytics. We price out toys, try to get people the best deals because you see eBay and you look at my car and these prices are outrageous, and we try to give you an idea of what you can actually pay for. Then I started working on a script that allows you to see what people are saying about this particular toy, just in case if you want to buy it, you have some type of idea of what to do. Are we telling you what to do? Absolutely not. We're just giving you the information to make that decision, because not everybody has the same amount of money to put into these toys. And if you're going to go for the home run, you got to make sure you hit a home run on these toys. So we try to deliver that. We also do lore. We have fun contests. We kind of are all over the place with our content. It's never a dull day. We just had a Transformer draft for the top 32 G1 figures. Had an absolute fun time doing that one. We got a G.I. Joe one coming up.
Nice.
We do all types of just crazy stuff. And then I do the Marauder Exchange, where I post all of my analysis points on Transformers, so you can go ahead and look at that at any time. You can disagree or or agree, and you can also put comments in it, because I collect the data to help me make a better argument for this toy, whether it's good or bad. And also do the price points as well, so I do that as well. And I also got into sports card collecting, so I do high-end sports cards as well. Prime Dynamic sports cards, that's coming soon. I'm going to be doing a YouTube channel on that.
Nice.
So I've been pretty busy with all the stuff that I got going on.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool. And I know there's one idea. I don't think I threw it. Oh, nice. Yeah. One idea that I know that I want to do with our channel and your channel. So I haven't thrown it out there yet. I think Mr. O and I spoke about it like months ago. So I think that will be something for the upcoming year that we will have to talk about, because I know that will be fun to for all of our collectives to work on.
Yeah, I also got one more. The third party kingdom as well. So I have a partner now. That's Chris Horton. He runs a third party kingdom where you can talk about toys, sell your toys, also inquire about other toys, and you can do it across all lines. It's not just Transformers. And you can also
Nice.
post your stuff in there. So like you guys' channel, your events, so people can get to know you guys. Please post in there. Everything is welcome as long as we're polite to each other. He doesn't care what you do. But don't post your lawn furniture. Somebody tried to sell lawn furniture on his Facebook page or Transformers page, so that was pretty funny. But yeah, just try to keep it around toys if you can.
Okay. Okay, very cool. Last comment from RJ. Last question. Also, do you think voices in Transformer media going forward should stay faithful to G1 type voices, or do you like voices evolving or changing?
I like new takes on characters myself. I think it's always fun when there's like a variant of a character. Like I like the Cyberworld, the YouTube show that I've been watching. It's supposed to be a younger version of Optimus, so he's sort of recognizable as kind of a Cullen type, but he's a bit more loose with it. So I kind of like that interpretation of him.
For me, it's as long as it's explained. If you're going to do a new story, it has to make sense. It has to be a bridge from whatever continuity you're into the future. As long as you can make that change. I don't know if you guys collect third-party figures, but if you've seen what Strafe looks like from Bingo Toys, it's just the right amount of just stylization that keeps true to the G1 character and moving it into the future. That's what I like to see. So as long as the marriage works, I'm good with it.
Cool. And Magnus, what say you?
I'm sorry. Repeat the question. I was typing.
Magnus was threatening somebody.
There you go. Well, the question was, in Transformers going forward, should voice actors stay closer to G1 or bring in or evolve and change how the characters
RJ
sound?
Eagles question. I don't mind the change. You know, Peter Cullen's not going to stay alive forever, so we're going to have to find something. Does it still need to keep that presence? Yes. I did not mind. Can't think of his name, but the guy that did Transformers 1, Thor.
Oh, Chris
Hemsworth.
Hemsworth, yeah,
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth. I didn't mind that at that level of Prime. You know, his voice sounded young. It sounded naive. So yes, that was good for that movie.
Good take.
Going forward, do I think that he could pull off Optimus Prime a million years from that point? No.
I will say, if they can afford to put Brian Tyree Henry as Megatron in more things, I think they absolutely should, because he killed it in that part. But he's probably expensive too, because he's like he's in a lot of movies now too.
He's definitely an A-lister for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
gonna cost.
But I think that was one. I'm not generally a big fan of just sort of blindly using celebrities, but he did legitimately do that really well. So I'm like, more of that, please.
Can I ask you guys this?
But like what Prime Dynamics said, as long as they could pull off and keep the character, if they can pull it off, fine. But we don't need, John Leguizamo coming in as Prime.
John Leguizamo?
Okay, that's a fascinating choice, and I want to hear that just on general principle.
I just always remember him as Clown from Spawn, Clown /
Yeah.
Violator from
Yep.
Spawn.
Right, the pest. But we don't need that voice as.
I think we do
Optimus
now
Prime.
that you've suggested
No,
that.
I'm
no,
dumbfounded
no,
now.
no.
Man.
So, Prime, what were you gonna ask?
Thanks,
Um,
Magnus.
We're talking. Oh, I don't think everybody got to answer the question, so let me hold that for everybody to get to answer your question first. I don't want to be rude.
What was the wording of the question? I kind of vaguely like what feeling about new takes on characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as it's in a different continuity, I don't mind. But if it's like even if it's something like Regeneration, what was that, revamp, like the recontinuation of like the Marvel G1 comics. And let's say if that was voiced, I mean, but if it's in the same continuity, try to maintain the style. But if it's in a different continuity, you can kind of play around. Younger, maybe more aggressive, more joyful. You can be more different, but same continuity. Because I remember being like a Toonami kid and like the early Toonami with Dragon Ball, and at some point they changed the voice actors for everybody, and it was like, what?
Mm.
Okay, so Prime, over to you.
I'm really curious to get Anthony's take on this first. Should Transformers just quit doing movies for a bit and adopt the way DC did their movies, especially in the early 2000s with your Red Hood, War Dawn? I'm sorry, Dawn of War, and a couple other the DC movies that were fantastic, and there was really no structure to it, only within that cartoon, what you get for that 1 hour and 20 minutes. Should Transformers just go throughout history, take stories here, and just put out a whole bunch of shorts?
I, it's kind of hard to say. I I will say I've thought for years that they need to do like the DC and Marvel movies that adapted specific comics, like the animated ones they used to put direct to DVD.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of really good Transformers comics out there. I'm a big advocate for them, and they don't get the kind of exposure the shows do. So there's a lot of stories I would love to see adapted into animated movies. So I would absolutely love for them to do that. You could do Last Stand of the Wreckers. You could do Target 2006. You could do the whole. Well, they're going to do the Daniel Warren Johnson run on Transformers. That could support a movie, but they're going to support a show off of it. There's a lot of stuff that I would love to see them adapt, and if they, I think if they did stuff more so like direct to streaming as opposed to theatrical, I think that would give them the creative freedom.
I think we lost him a little bit.
Oh no,
Oh, did I cut
He was
off?
he was cooking too.
there you go.
Oh, there he is.
What's the last thing I said?
You were on about like maybe release the stuff to streaming
Yeah.
Yeah,
instead of
you know,
movie theaters.
if it was straight to streaming or direct to DVD instead of putting it out in theaters, then I think that would give them the creative freedom to adapt this kind of stuff. And just that's all I think about it. But it's not a new thought of mine. I've thought it since I read like Last Stand of the Wreckers back in
Yeah.
the day. This would make a good self-contained animated movie. They should do a bunch of these. I think there's great potential there because there's some good stories that deserve more exposure.
Because I think
And
you
like
can make a
jumping
good
off
quality.
of like Fear and Courage, like with stuff that goes straight to streaming. Like if you look at like K-pop Demon Hunters, that went straight to streaming, and then it got movie theater release. Then you have both seasons of Don D Don, like the first few episodes of both seasons, 1 and 2, got theatric releases, and I saw like the start of season 2 at the
The
movie
the
theaters
Del
in
Toro
June.
Frankenstein that just came out,
Yeah, that too. That was
Netflix paid for it, and they said we're going to put it out in theaters, but just for a little bit. Then it's going to go to streaming instead of them having to spend the money on a big wide release. I still saw it in theaters because I'm a mark for that. But
You
I
could
think that's
probably
a
get a good movie done for less than $5 million.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I said, much as I liked Transformers One, with the exception of Brian Tyree Hill, there, I was like, I don't think they needed to spend the money on the celebrity VAs. I think this movie would have done better if they'd just gotten established voice actors to do the parts instead.
Yeah, because all we need is a solid, what most of the WB movies had a solid good 10 people that they frequently work with, like your Kevin
Yeah.
Conroy's, Tim Daly, and people like that, that you
Yeah.
could pull off a nice movie. And I think we can get that in there. And maybe, just maybe, even if we did one around a young hot rod, maybe Judd Nelson will come back.
hmm
That'd be cool. RJ says, I totally agree with you, TF Marauder. They should make mini movies like DC Crisis on Infinite Earth. It
There
would
you go.
spark some character variance and interest by the random viewer.
Tom Scioli and John Barber's Transformers versus G.I. Joe. It was a 12-issue comic. You could make you could do a 2-part movie out of that. It would rule. It was so good. I'm like, there's supposedly, if they ever actually do another live action movie, it's in flux, they keep saying we're going to do Transformers versus Joe. Like, you don't need to do that. Adopt the comic instead. It was really good, or at least use that as the blueprint.
Yeah, there you go. I think that'd be fantastic. And I'm sure a lot of the G1 actors and Beast War actors would love to come back and take on new roles.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it in the family. The talent's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many unspoken, loophole stories and character development that could be done, within that to go down that road, and it would just add to the franchise. Because I mean, my thing of always is saying, who were the Combaticons before Starscream stole those personalities?
Same thing. Yep.
That's a whole series storyline that should be that they should really engage on.
I asked the writer about that. Got to talk to him about it. He goes, they had just told us about the toys. We needed to come up with something quick. We didn't put a backstory. We have nothing. It was just whatever you see on paper. Hell, I didn't even write the second part of the Starscream's Brigade. Somebody else did. So I can't even tell you.
I've read so many of those interviews. People are always like, what was this? And they were like, look, bro, we had to write like 50 episodes in a very short span of time. We were just banging the keyboard and throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
I've seen, yeah.
That broke my heart. I mean, I'm a 6'5", 325-pound man sitting there like my ice cream just fell on the floor. Hurt that they didn't give me a better answer for this. And it's not their fault, and I'm not blaming them at all, but it's just you only get a chance to see these people once a year if you're lucky, and then you get that finally asked the question that can probably put you to bed. Man, it's just a check.
I always remember there's a bit that really speaks to sort of how they had to write these scripts. There's that bit in Secret of Omega Supreme where Omega Supreme talks about his history with the Constructicons, and Optimus Prime says a line there where he's like, I know it's going to be difficult, but try speaking normally instead of your usual way when you're telling the story.
Yep.
And he does. And I read the reason that line is in there is because the first draft of the episode, the writer didn't know that Omega Supreme had that way of talking. And they were like, oh, you have to rewrite this whole thing. And they were like, oh, we don't have time for that. Let's add a line and have Optimus talk normally so we don't have to change the dialogue because we're on a timeline here. We can't rewrite all of this.
That's wild. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I never knew that either.
No,
Really?
look it up on the wiki. It's a thing.
Well, I believe you. You are the wiki.
I mean, could you imagine Omega retelling the story as Omega usually speaks?
Yeah.
He holds grudges, man, because that's at least 4 million years.
Yep.
Like, it was on site.
Yeah, but you know what? Omega's way of speaking, he'd just be like, Constructicons bad. Omega hates.
Yeah.
And like that's it. I'm like, yeah, we can't make a 30-minute episode on just that. Like,
So
add some more
maybe it was a
lines.
smart idea, but it came about entirely because of like a deadline and like not laziness, but like a time crunch, searching for the quick way out.
So here's a funny thing about that episode, actually, and you know, my father can kiss my ass on this one. I love you, Dad, but kiss my ass on this one. That episode was shot in San Francisco. They were fighting on the Bay Bridge. I mean, the Golden Gate Bridge. And my dad goes, hey, look out the window. You can see them. I dart to the window to go look. I don't see them. 'Cause I'm from the Bay Area, so, you know, broke my heart. Yeah.
And you're not bitter. You've totally let it go.
I was 7.
All right, so Magnus, you just one thing to share before we round up the evening.
This is that bingo toy strafe that Prime was talking about.
Oh, there you go. Take a look at this.
I just pre-ordered them all.
So
It's pretty solid.
if you look at this thing, like if they were to do a Transformers X-Men 97, I've
That's
talked about this
nice.
a million times.
Mm.
This is what you would want to see as an update to the character.
Yes.
Kind of what you see in the X-Men series right now that's going on. If Transformers decided to revisit what happened between the bot episode and the movie, well, these guys came afterwards, but you know what I'm saying, like later in the 2025 or somewhere around there where they dropped, I think these would fit in right perfectly. This is what you would want to see on the screen.
That is nice. That is nice.
That Computron is going to be sick.
The only thing I'm worried about is it doesn't give the size.
It's an MP. It's I think it's probably maybe 9 inches. Because to me, season 3 bots are always going to be taller than your season 1 and 2 bots.
Mhm.
But he looks fantastic.
He does.
I heard there's a lot of die cast in this thing too.
Ooh, is that like the
That's the arm.
Superion aerial bots that came out like a year or two
Oh,
ago?
Fantoys? Yeah.
Okay.
He should be about as big as him when you complete them.
Okay. No, the question is, how much is that strafe?
It's not released yet.
I think from what I'm hearing, it's like 169, somewhere around there.
Ooh.
But I could be wrong.
That they've only released strafe, scattershot, and the motorcycle
Afterburner.
afterburner.
So yeah, these are a nice upgrade. They're doing it in their own style, but like I said, it's the right amount of flair what you would want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I would expect to see in a cartoon if we were blessed to get another G1 cartoon.
Right.
If you're going to update the characters, obviously Afterburner didn't have 2 wheels in the cartoon, but that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. It reminds me of the Batmobile in a sense. So
Right,
Yes.
right. That's exactly what I was gonna say. It looks like
Yep.
the Bat
Yeah.
Cycle.
you know, he looks good. But I'm really impressed with Hasbro right now for what they're doing because they're finally listening to the G1 fans. They're popping out combiners like it's no tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, they did that
Okay.
back in 2016 in Combiner Wars. They're just doing
Mhm.
better versions now.
Yeah. So kudos to them.
Yeah, supposedly we're gonna finally see the full new Bruticus combination by like the end of the week because there's gonna be some event. It's like we've seen some things. We've just only seen like a grayscale prototype of Onslaught.
Yeah, I just completed mine with Magic Square. They should have released the G1 in Deco. I got the toy version, but he looks great. It's a great bot.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna say thank you, Prime Dynamics, for joining us again this week, and from everything we spoke on, I could see a few other topics that we can branch off in a few other streams. So definitely be great to have you come back again at least within the new year, because I know Christmas is gonna be around the corner, so only so much time we got to work with, but definitely in the new year, I'd love to have you back on again.
Hey, for sure, man. Just let me know, man. It's always love with you guys. So yeah, well, we had a great time when you came on our show. You guys got to come on over as well. Maybe we can plan something out, figure it out, because we do like a whole bunch of games, have some fun with it, and yeah, man. It's always like I always like to say with you guys, the key is under the mat. Just let yourself in.
Nice. Cool. And just before we round out, Fear, what do you have coming up for the week?
Well, I just posted my review of Studio Series Elita 1 on Friday, so you can find that on childrenofprimus.com under our news and reviews section, under our blog bots, which means I gotta start writing my next one, which, like I said, is Transformers 1 Starscream. I've not started it, but it will. I post a new one every 2 weeks. Next one will be this one.
Cool. So
So look forward to that eventually, too.
So as Impactor Productions reminds everyone, and again, I always thank all our current subscribers and everyone like and subscribe to Children of Primus. Everyone like and subscribe to Impactor Productions, and also like and subscribe to TF-MARAUDERS. We all work together, and everyone supports each other, and we're all just in it for fun. It's not about the numbers or anything. We talk about our passion and we have fun. So on that note, at the end of every stream, we say to all our ones. So again, thank you for you guys hanging out. Thank you for everyone in the comments, and to all our one.
Till all are one.
All are one.
I don't know why.
We now return you to the Children of Primus.